A single folded square of cotton fabric. No pattern, no machine, no store tag. Hannah Yoder of Lancaster County picks it up and starts. 5 minutes later, she is wearing a finished summer dress. The clothing industry hopes you never learn this. But here is the part that stops people cold. Amish women have been doing this for over 200 years, and it costs almost nothing. So how did an entire generation of home sewers end up completely dependent on commercial patterns and store-bought clothes? By the end, you will have everything you need. One needle, one thread, one string, to make this yourself. Plain communities never needed a pattern. The roots of this method stretch back to 1693 in Europe, when Anabaptist communities broke away and began building a life around one principle above all others: waste nothing. When those communities crossed the Atlantic and settled across Pennsylvania and Ohio through the 1800s, they brought that principle with them and they standardized it. Clothing became a daily practice, not a project. There were no commercial sewing patterns, not because they were unavailable, but because they were unnecessary. The body itself was the only template any woman ever needed. Plain community values are not complicated. You buy nothing you can make yourself. You use what you have. Fabric remnants left over from larger cuts, inexpensive plain cotton purchased by the yard, these are the only materials that ever passed through Amish hands when a new dress was needed. Nothing was wasted. A scrap wide enough to wrap around the body was wide enough to become a garment. What gets misunderstood by the English neighbors who hear about this is that they picture a craft afternoon, a hobby, something leisurely. That is not what this is. These were working dresses, made on a Tuesday morning before the day's labor began, worn through the heat of a full summer, washed, dried, worn again. Practical dresses built for real life, not for display. The method was never written down in any book because it never needed to be. It passed from mother to daughter through demonstration. Stand still. Hold out your arms. Watch what I do with this string. That was the lesson. Simple, direct, and complete. The body provided every measurement. The fabric provided every seam. And the knowledge lived in the hands of plain women across Lancaster County for generation after generation, quietly, without fanfare, while the rest of the world slowly forgot how to sew without buying something first. The string measurement. Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, 1847. A young woman stands in a farmhouse kitchen before sunrise, a length of cotton string in her hands, and no pattern in sight. Number 1 in this 3-step method is the string measurement, and it is the foundation that makes everything else possible. The scene is simple. There is no measuring tape. There is no ruler. There is no printed guide telling you what size you are or what numbers to chase. There is only a piece of string and a body standing in front of you. That is enough. Here is how it works. Take a single length of string. Wrap it around the fullest part of the chest. Pinch the point where it meets itself. That pinched length is your chest measurement. You do not need to know the number. The string holds it. Wrap again at the natural waist. Pinch again. Now hold the string from shoulder to wherever you want the hem to fall. Ankle, mid-calf, the ground. 3 measurements, 3 pinches. Under 60 seconds. Done. Now lay the fabric flat. Use those string lengths directly on the fabric as your cutting guide. No transfer to paper. No math. The string goes from one edge of the fabric to the other, and you cut along it. The width of your fabric panel equals the chest measurement plus 2 finger widths of ease on each side. That is the only calculation this method ever asks of you. 2 fingers pressed flat against the string. That is your ease allowance. That is your fit. And that wasn't even the part that got people angry. What surprises people most is that this works for every body size. Tall, short, narrow, full, the string doesn't judge. It measures what is actually there and nothing else. No vanity sizing, no standardized grading. Just the real body in front of you, translated directly into fabric. Everything was in place. The fabric just didn't know what everything was building toward. Up to this point, the string measurement had been the quiet, invisible genius at the center of this whole method. That was about to flip. Because once you have your fabric cut, you are holding something that already knows how to become a dress, and the next step takes less than 90 seconds to prove it. The running stitch side seams. The fabric is cut. It is lying flat on the table. This is where the story takes a turn nobody expected. Coming in at number 2, the running stitch side seams. 2 seams. That is the entire structure of this dress. Nothing more. Fold the fabric in half lengthwise, right sides pressed together. Smooth it flat with your hands. You are looking at 2 open edges running down either side of the folded panel. Those are your side seams. Both of them. The complete architecture of the garment exists in these 2 lines of stitching. Thread your needle with a doubled length of thread. Knot the end firmly. Now begin the running stitch. Needle in, needle out, needle in, needle out. Even rhythm, steady pace. No back stitch required for this seam. No locking every 3rd stitch. Just a clean, consistent running stitch from top to bottom. One side seam completed in under 45 seconds with a long needle and a confident hand. That's the kind of number that makes accountants cry. 45 seconds for a seam that holds a dress together through a full summer of wear and washing. The entire fast fashion industry is built on the premise that you cannot do this yourself, that you need a machine, that you need training, that you need to buy something. Every one of those premises falls apart the moment you finish that first side seam and realize what just happened. Knot the thread firmly at the bottom, clip the tail short, move to the second side seam, same motion, same rhythm, same 45 seconds. Both seams finished, knotted, secure. The running stitch is honest about what it is. It is not a serged edge. It is not a French seam. It is strong enough for summer wear, for daily use through warm months. It is not built for heavy daily labor or rough handling. That caveat matters. This method is for a summer dress, and it delivers exactly that. The clock was already ticking. The fabric just couldn't hear it yet. But this wasn't just about one dress anymore. Every woman who learns this stitch carries the ability to clothe herself and her family without spending $1 at any store. The gathering step. The dress body is sewn. It has 2 seams and a shape. But it does not yet fit. And this is the part where things stopped being funny. At number 3, gathering at the waist and neck. This is the fit secret that plain communities have used without adjustment for 2 centuries. Pay attention to this next detail, because it explains everything. Gathering is not decorative. It is structural. It is how a rectangular panel of fabric becomes a garment that follows the shape of a human body. Without it, you have a tube. With it, you have a dress. Thread a needle with a long, loose length of thread. Do not knot the end. Run a large, even running stitch along the neckline. Long stitches, close together, all the way around. Do not pull yet. Do the same along the waist channel. 2 loose gathering threads, that is all. Now pick up the string from step 1, the waist measurement string. Hold it against the waist gathering thread and pull the loose thread gently, easing the fabric in until the gathered edge matches the string length exactly. Tie off the thread. The fabric distributes itself evenly along the waist. No pinning session, no fitting appointment, no adjustments after the fact. You'd think someone would have said something. Nobody did. The gathering does the work silently, and it has always done it this way. Hannah Yoder demonstrates this exact step most prominently in her 2025 Plain Community tutorials. She shows how a waist tie cut from the same remnant fabric cinches the gathering and holds it in place. No ribbon purchased, no button sewn. A strip of the same cotton, folded long, tied at the back. The neckline gathers the same way. Pull to fit. Finish with a simple folded hem, fold the raw edge twice, press flat with fingernails, 1 pass of the needle to secure it. The neckline is done. The dress had a measurement, a body, and now a shape. Hannah Yoder had 5 minutes before the morning work began, and the clock had already started. Just fold. Just stitch. Just finish. 8A, 1 folded square of cotton, except now it walks out the door wearing itself. Watch this next.